right. Good morning, everybody. Nikki Burnett here, Taste Life Nutrition Radio and Podcast, streaming live on KUHSdenver.com, where we have the most fun. Today I have on a really great guest. We've had this sort of a little series, but not really a series, but we're talking a lot about menopause. Why? Because we got to talk about it. We don't talk about it enough. And we need to understand, you know, the what's and the whys around here. Sorry, I gotta turn my music down. Too many, I can't multitask very well. But we need to understand all of the things behind it as much as possible, because I think growing up, there's so much that us women don't understand about it. And, you know, these things used to be, you know, traditional things that we would discuss, and we don't discuss them anymore. So anyway, sorry, I get a little excited about stuff like this. So we have today Dr. Deb Butler. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to talk to you about all of this for lots of reasons.
Me too. I'm excited too.
Very good. I'm blocking you. There we go. All right, perfect. So of course, as always, we start the show with gratitude, because I truly believe gratitude can change the world. Yeah, it's so important. There's so many things, even when there's so much stress and so much craziness. This just came to me, but saw an old friend of mine from high school who's really, really struggling. And I hadn't reached out to her. I mean, it's been years and years and years. And I just said, if there's any way that I can help. But even in her place of super struggle, she was like, we have so many things to be grateful for. And I love that about her. I love that about, you know, the people who I would surround myself by, is they're people who are always grateful for the beautiful things that they've been given, even when things are hard. So what are you grateful for today?
Well, since I knew you were going to ask the question, because I know how your podcast works, so I've been thinking about it.
Great.
And I decided that there's so many things that I'm grateful for, and because I'm into research, it's amazing that when you can bring up gratitude as a feeling inside your own body, it can change your own energy in terms of what you can even attract into your life.
Yes, it
So
can.
for that reason alone, I've been working on it.
Good.
And what I'm grateful for today is my past self to do the things that she did when I was in menopause that brought me here to talk to you today. And it was not an easy path. And I'm so glad that she was brave enough to do what she did so I can be here doing what I do now. Because it would have been a real easy thing not to do. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful for that. Me.
Man, I love that so much, and good for you, because we should all be grateful for us, for me, right? We got to be grateful for me, and our experiences are what bring us to who we are. Just exactly like what you said, but they're not always fun, but those are the things that help us to grow. And when we grow, then we know how to give, and we know how to serve, and we know how to love. And we know how to continue to grow, because there's going to be more stuff that we're going to have to go through to grow some more. So good for you. And I love that you said that. Thank you. And I'm so glad you're here. Yeah.
I'm glad I'm here too.
Yay. Cool. So what am I grateful for? We had this amazing weekend in the mountains. And so we love to camp. This is only our second time this year, where we tend to try to camp, 3 or 4 times a year. And when we do, we're going, as deep into the mountains as we can. My husband's a big fly fisherman. And so we went there. I have this spot that has become my very favorite spot, because it's beautiful, it's remote. You've got to have a 4-wheel drive to get up there, because it is head knocking, all over the place to get up there. It's an old creek or river bottom. So it's just, boulders and rocks everywhere. So, but because it's so hard to get, or so bumpy to get to, you don't get many people out there. And I mean, it takes you an hour basically to go a mile, right? So it's way out there. And we finally got to go this year, And this is a place where we get to go. The river is right there. We did a couple of cold plunges in the river. It was so freaking cold. I can't even tell you. It's amazing how cold can burn.
That's brave.
Yeah, it was something else, let me tell you. But we did it. Had a great time. But then, you know, I'm watching the dogs. They go in and out of the river and they have so much fun. I don't know how they do it, but this is a place where we can just let them run. They can run and roam and have the most fun. And that is my purest, it might be my purest form of joy. I don't know, is just to watch them be dogs and to play and to get exhausted.
Yeah.
So it's really good. So a good full 3 days to chill out. And of course, we're too far removed for, you know, any Wi-Fi, any cell, anything. So it was literally sleeping, cooking, fishing, running, you know, whatever. It was good.
Lovely.
So good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. All right, let's jump in. Because you basically you started it the way that it should have been started, is because of where you've been, this is where you are now and who you are now. So let's just talk about that. Where have you been? What did you get through to get where you are?
Well, I've been through a lot of things, but I think the thing that I probably refer to the most is that the past profession that I was in was chiropractic, and I was a chiropractor and had a lovely office with my husband. We practiced for 30-something years. And I really wanted to do it when I did it when I was in my 30s. And I went back to school to become a chiropractor when I was 26. And I look back, I thought I was so old. I was 26 years old, but you know, at that time, you should be done by then. So I thought I was so old, and it seemed like such a big decision to go back to school. So practicing that way for a long time and enjoying it, there was something always that was tugging at me. Mm-hmm. And when I got into my 50s, and I started hitting menopause and getting uncomfortable just from the symptoms of menopause in itself, it was also making me more uncomfortable with the thing that had been tugging me for years about what I was actually doing in my career and what I didn't love about it and what I was tugged to do more. Mm-hmm. And that discomfort led me to look at other things. And at the same time, I had struggled with my weight my whole life. And when I say struggled, I mean struggled 10 or 20 pounds, but I was messing around with food for years. And I was a chiropractor. I consult people on what to eat, how to eat, what to do, and all of that stuff. And yet I really didn't follow my own instructions and didn't even realize that I wasn't. I didn't think it was, because I could manage my weight. I was a lifetime Weight Watcher. And the reason I was a lifetime Weight Watcher member was because I would go to lose weight, and once my weight was off, I was done with Weight Watchers and back to my own little shenanigans of binging or using foods for other things than fueling.
Isn't that, and I'm sorry, I want to just interrupt real quick, because I think that this is a really important thing to talk about, at least briefly hit on, because what we have is this, you know, we've had this weight loss industry that's massive. And we have, you know, these companies like Weight Watchers. The one that gets me really more than anything is the Nutrisystem, and those that are just these terrible, horrible foods. It's just awful. But, you know, it doesn't teach you how to create a life of understanding food and healthy food and what, like you, well, just as you were getting to, what fuels you and how to feel good. And all you're focusing on is what you can and can't eat, or how much you can eat. It's such an unhealthy way of looking at it. And I'm going to tell you, I know people have success, but I think every single person who I've ever talked to has had success.
Success with Weight Watchers?
Yes.
Or success?
Or success with Weight Watchers. Or with
and you mean
the
by success, you mean losing weight?
Just the losing weight. but it's temporary because it comes back. So carry on. I just think it's so important for people to have this realization that it's not about calorie counting and points and okay, sorry. Go ahead. Yes, exactly.
And that I had lived my life as an expert in nutrition, and that's the way that I was managing my nutrition was when I would like to eat really healthy if I was losing weight. It was all connected to weight loss. It wasn't connected to health, even though most people that come to me say, why do you want to lose weight? Because I want to be healthy. But that is not true. They want to be thin.
Yeah.
And healthy sounds like a much better thing to say. But it's really not what most people want because we live it, and I was no different. And when I came to this level of discomfort in my own profession, I also found that because I was in menopause, that going to Weight Watchers and doing my thing with Weight Watchers also, it was much more difficult to lose the weight. So I was getting very frustrated with that. But I was also very frustrated with my career. And I also wanted to go out and eat and drink more because I was uncomfortable. Which didn't help me to lose weight, even though I said it's because of menopause. That's why I'm not losing weight. But it's also because I was needing to eat foods that didn't really serve me nutritionally, but did a lot for me emotionally. And I wasn't connecting the dots, but I was uncomfortable with my weight and I was uncomfortable with my career. And when I started looking into the idea of the mind, and I've always been into self-help my whole life and love to talk to my patients about what's going on in their heads. So I never could keep on time because I wanted to talk about what's going on in your head and talk deep, which has nothing to do with what to eat. It's like, what's going on?
Right.
And to be able to connect all of that at that time, at a very uncomfortable, like not practice chiropractic anymore, that was very, very scary after doing it for so many years and having a practice and doing it with my husband and what would that mean. And without going into the long story, the way that I navigated that and ended up in life coaching, which absolutely lit me up. And when I started chiropractic, nobody knew what a chiropractor was. Nobody. You know, it was 35 years ago, and they were just kind of like quacks. And like when I would say I'm a chiropractor, people go, well, what do you do? You know, I didn't even know what they did, really. I just thought, whoa.
That looks fun.
That's a good idea. You know, you're 26 years old. I'm getting kind of old. I better figure out, you know.
What am I going to do with my life?
What am I doing? And when I was 50, in my 50s, it was the same thing. I'm too old. It was the exact same thing that popped up again. I can't do something. I should be done. I should know. And going through all of that and having a life coach, and at the time that I said, well, I'm looking into life coaching, people would go, what's a life coach? They didn't know what a life coach any more than they knew what a chiropractor was way back when.
Right. Yeah. And you're ahead of your time.
I think I've always been a little bit of a trailblazer and attracted to things that are outside the box.
Yeah. Good for you.
So I'm here because of that, and created a program based on I really don't want to talk about how to lose weight. I want to talk about how to make peace with food. And I want to talk about how to make peace with your body. And I think that's how you make peace with your life. And I think in your 50s is a very good time to do it because you have years of experience of what you like and what you don't like. Now, when I was 26 years old and thought I was too old, I didn't know nothing.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Making decisions.
Yeah.
And when I was in my 50s, I knew so much more. So I'm very grateful to that time because I'm here at 72 years old doing something that I absolutely love. I'm on fire. I was not on fire in my 50s.
Yeah.
I needed to leave.
And so how amazing though is it, because you have gone through all of these transitions and transformations.
Yes,
And
transformation.
what is fascinating is that you're 72, and I don't think anybody would ever guess that you're 72. So I think when you find peace with yourself and you find peace with your body and you find peace with your life, doesn't mean things aren't going to get hard. And then you find peace with all of the things that you're talking about, and you're growing in your wisdom. In a sense, it's reducing stress, right? So we go from the mental and emotional to the biochemical. We're reducing stress levels. We're reducing inflammation. We're anti-aging. That's what I think. Well, that's what I know. I mean, it's biochemistry, right?
It absolutely is, and it's true. And when I think what I'm so fired up about is that when you're in your 50s, because I remember how I thought then. Mm-hmm. And, I was thinking I'm too old. I was thinking it's too late. I was thinking, and I was thinking I should know better. I mean, those are the things that I was thinking. And I hit this age here, and I see the same thing starting to happen again. Mm. It's like I think you come to different passages in your life where you start questioning, and I think it helps you move forward. Yeah. And what I want people to know is that, like, I look at 50-year-olds now and think they're so young. Mm-hmm. And so, and I remember all of that, but I know that the people in their 50s think they're old and they don't like the way they look. And I think when you're obsessed with your weight, if you don't get that under control, your thinking about your body and about how you treat yourself, you're not going to like getting 70. Mm-hmm. You are not going to like it, because you're going to be stuck with this thinking. And if you take it with you, getting older is not going to be fun.
Yeah. And good for you for saying that. I totally agree. We have such a short life, and we have a lot to do. That's what I believe. I think I have a lot to do.
I agree.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And, until the day I can't do it anymore, which is the day I better be no longer here, I want to continue to know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing every day, right? And feeling good about it. Yes. So I want to talk a little bit about. I want to get in a little bit. I know that you're more the mindset around the food and all of these things, but you also have been through the physical struggles. You work with people who are going through the physical struggles, and there's hormonal influences. There are environmental influences. There are physical, conditions that people are struggling with that can increase symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. And Absolutely. Along with that, of course, comes so often is the weight gain. Why is that, in your opinion? What are you seeing? Do you think it's more mindset when you're going through the change? Do you think it's physical? Are you seeing a little bit of both? What are you seeing?
Oh, I think it's both.
Yeah.
The people that are attracted to me and who I want to help are the people who have had a mindset for many. They've been struggling way longer than menopause. Mm-hmm. It's not if it's just starting in menopause, there are so many reasons for weight gain. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to the people who are not peaceful with food and never have been. Yeah. Because everything else will get exaggerated, and there are many other things that you will have to take care of or may have to take care of. Like, I'm not saying the only thing I did was this. Yeah. But I think the more clear-headed and clear-minded you are, the better off you're going to be with deciding how you're going to navigate this time of your life with a clear mind. And if you don't have this connection with taking care of your body, and the only reason I use food is because you have to eat so often, and your body is signaling you when to eat and when to stop. Now, it's not the only thing it signals you to do.
Right.
But it's one of the most basic functions that you have to listen to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And there are many women who do not know those signals in their own body. And if you're in menopause, that's not the only thing.
Right.
But that's the thing that I work on with people. Because if you can start getting connected to your own body about when to start and when to stop, that's what I talk about when I talk about the body whisperer.
Yep.
Because it's not only signaling you when to eat and when to stop, it's also signaling you when you better take a rest, when you better wake up, when it's time to go to sleep, if you have something that's painful, when to take care of it, when to leave it alone, to take care of it before it's screaming at you. That's what I want people to get in their 50s. That's what I'm talking about. And I think the more connected they become to their bodies, the more connected they become to who they need for help and what they need to do for their bodies. There's not one cure-all for menopause.
Right.
You know, should I or shouldn't do hormones? Should I eat this or shouldn't I eat that? But when you get more understanding of your own body, you'll know more about what your body needs.
Yeah.
Because it's not 100% this is what you do.
Agreed.
If you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
There is no, this is what you do and this is how it's done. It's not, nobody agrees on anything.
Well, that's the thing, is we're all different. And so that was something that I was saying yesterday to whoever I was talking to was, it would be a hell of a lot easier if I could tell everybody, you're in a box, you go do this and it's going to work.
Exactly. That's what we want. That's what we're open for.
I know. But it doesn't, and it never does. I've never done the same protocol for any single person ever. And so, but that's what you're saying is, gosh, I have so many things I want to say, is what I tend to say to people a lot is, we have lost this ability to listen to our bodies. We've lost the connection. We have a symptom and we think, oh, I need to go take an Advil. We have a symptom and I think I need to go take a, whatever drug or whatever it is. Even if it's a supplement, I got to go take a supplement to get rid of the symptom. Now, drugs have their place. Supplements certainly have their place.
Of course.
But we have to really step back and start to understand that symptoms are our body talking to us. It's communication. It's saying, hey, I need you to pay attention because something here is going on. And I'm starting to say this a lot, but I believe that the body is so beautifully and perfectly made that its one big job is to keep us alive. And when we see symptoms, often in medicine and even in nutrition and, functional nutrition, functional medicine, we call it dysfunction, right? The body's dysfunctional. What if it's not dysfunctional? What if it's just doing its job to keep us alive? It's doing what it knows to do and is saying, hey, I need some support and we got to figure out what we need to do.
I love that.
I think it's so true. Another thing on that note is if anybody who is listening is not of, this perimenopausal, menopausal age, this is a time that's earlier, right? Before this time happens, this is the time really to pay attention to understand that your body is, the better it is going into, even with your monthly cycle, the better your body is through your monthly cycle, the better you're going to be through perimenopause, the better it's going to be through menopause, the more you're going to be able to understand and learn and define people who can help you to continue to learn, because we got to have our team. We have to have our team of people who know more about these things than we do, right? And the thing that I say all the time is, I need my accountant because I hate doing numbers. So, and so we have to have the people who know what they're doing, who we trust, who we can go to, who are true experts like you are in this area, and figure out what we need to do to listen better to our bodies. Because, sorry, I get on my soapboxes, but what people learn from you is the stuff that they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives. And it's the stuff that they can teach the younger generations about.
That is correct.
It's so important.
Yes. And, it's wanting to be healthy has to start at a very deep level of knowing your own body. Mm-hmm. And I guess it's like when I was younger, I just tried to figure out how I could get away with things in my own body.
It's so true, yeah.
And how I could push it, even though it was talking to me and telling me to stop, mm-hmm. I was just trying to figure out how I could push it as far as possible. And I think a lot of people are like that, and they get into menopause thinking they can keep doing this. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people say, well, what I used to do doesn't work anymore.
Hear it all the time, yeah.
And the truth is what you used to do should never have worked. Right. And thinking, because a lot of the things that people say I want to do isn't anything they should be doing.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. What I was doing is I thought it was perfectly natural to go up and down 20 pounds for 30 years. I lost maybe 250 pounds in my life. I knew how to take it on. Mm-hmm. But what was I doing putting it on? Mm-hmm. What did I think I was? I didn't think anything is what I was thinking. Yeah. It's like, hey, I got it down. I can eat all this crap. Mm-hmm. I can go against my body. I can, whatever it was I was doing mm-hmm. on a regular basis while I was not on a diet.
The diets, yes.
But as mm-hmm. soon as I got to a certain weight, I had to take that weight off. Mm-hmm. And then it was like I would do anything. Mm-hmm.
The extremes.
But it was totally deprivation mm-hmm. and restriction. Mm-hmm. And what I want to teach people every single day is I first want you to believe in your own brain that you can eat whatever you want. Now, I thought if I believed that, I would be eating potato chips all day long. That was my wish in my life, is I just wish I could eat potato chips. But I can't because I have a weight problem. Uh-huh. Like if I didn't have a weight problem, I could be eating potato chips. That's the way I was thinking. Yeah. And I was a smart woman thinking like that. Really, seriously, that does not sound very mm-hmm. smart, I don't think.
No.
But the things that we say
mindset,
in our head,
yes, the self-talk
to ourselves mm-hmm. is what I help people see.
Yeah.
That the way you're talking to yourself and the beliefs that you have about yourself that you probably don't even realize are there.
Yes. So I want you to know we've got people who are watching, and so we have my cousin who's on, and she's struggling at 50 with all of this. I'm like, I know, I hear you, sister.
I hear you, sister. I know. And it's like I'm saying to you, there is an answer. Mm-hmm. But the answer isn't losing 20 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yes.
That's not the answer.
Yes. Agreed. Mm-hmm.
And what you should be eating is different. Because there's so much about what you should and shouldn't do. Mm-hmm. And I think educating your mind and your brain mm-hmm. is a good thing. We learn things all the time mm-hmm. about the changes in health. If you can use that without driving yourself crazy, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. because you are more settled in your own self, you can learn a few things. You can try a few things.
Yeah.
But you can't do it if you're only obsessed about how can I lose weight. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you what, it's an epidemic.
It is an epidemic, absolutely.
It is. I didn't mm-hmm. know when I started my podcast 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was telling my story and talking about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to help people do. I had no idea anybody else would even be interested.
I think women are, just like Missy, just like any of us, women are I don't know where to find good information, right? Because what do we do? We go to the internet. What does the internet say? well, you should eat less, and well, maybe you should have less carbohydrates and cut out the processed foods, right? I mean, and it's maybe yes, of course, good basic stuff, but it's not giving us what we need. It's not helping us understand what actually is going on, right?
It is not actually helping us understand why we don't want to eat those foods.
Mm-hmm.
Why, and I love to teach people how to eat a non-nutritious food, which I call a joy eat, tastes good,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
without going crazy.
Yeah.
And what I mean by without going crazy, without your brain telling you, I shouldn't be doing this, I'm terrible, this is going to help me gain weight. And when that starts happening, what you tend to do with that food is overeat it, overindulge, binge, whatever it is, because of the emotional landscape that it creates.
Yes, absolutely.
As opposed to eating whatever it is. I'm not saying eating it every day or eating it all the time. I'm just saying you can eat it, you can enjoy it, and you can stop. And it is not a big deal. Because our brains, for people who were like I used to be, was a big deal. What I would eat, because I would say to myself, I got to get it all in right now, because I'm never going to have it again.
Yes.
As of tomorrow, I'm done with that. As soon as you think like that, you're going to want that food so bad, you're not going to know what to do with it. That's all you're going to think about.
It's true. It's true.
That's why you need to adopt a belief that you can eat whatever you want. But what do I want?
Yes.
And when we can navigate that landscape, you can actually do the right thing for yourself and feel good about it and not feel like you're wanting something else.
So let's talk about your process, because you have a methodology essentially that you go through when you're helping women through this, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that. What does that look like?
Well, one of the main things, and I think the thing that attracts people the most to me, is that one of the things that a life coach said to me 15, 20 years ago was, why do you eat when you're not hungry? Like, well, who cares? Just tell me what to eat because I got to lose some weight. I don't care. Yeah. But when I started thinking about it, because her next question was, do you eat when you're hungry? Do you know when you're hungry?
That's a big,
do you
big
know
question.
When you're full?
Yes.
And what is full? So from that, I created just a basic hunger scale that I'm sure people have seen before, but I use it very specifically to help people gauge numbers in their body about physical hunger and physical fullness, so that they actually can say, I have a graph that goes from a -10 to a +10. -10 is starving, +10 is full, 0 is neutral, and I talk about eating between the twos. Start at a -2, which is the beginning of hunger, the whisper of hunger, and stop at a +2, which is a whisper of fullness, a whisper of satisfaction. And I'm talking about becoming a body whisperer, so we're not just talking about hunger and fullness. It could be tired, it could be anything.
Yep.
But understanding their numbers first, because most people have no clue. I mean, we were wired this way. We weren't wired with giving ourselves numbers, but we were wired. Our body says time to eat, time to stop. And it's very intricate. It's a very intricate system, but it is amazing that hormonally in every which way, our bodies have a way of saying start, stop, start, stop. And how we stop listening to the most simple things in our body, this wiring, is what I want to bring people back to, because it's already there.
Yeah. So it's fascinating because, I think it's important to understand, at its basic level for anybody who doesn't know this, but hormones are communicators, right? They talk to our body, and there's so many different types of hormones, and they tell our body what to do, and they're talking to us. And so often what we can see, and I think this goes back to when people blame themselves, yes, there's the negative self-talk, and then there's the blame. I don't know how to control it. I don't know what to do. I don't know why I do this, and we can get to a point to where these signals aren't signaling properly anymore, right? So we have our hunger and our satiety hormones, and if our receptor sites essentially become non-receptive to these hunger hormones, then we don't know when we're hungry and when we're full, and this comes from a lifetime of, or I think years really of the body not of us just kind of, it goes to that sort of that mindless eating, I think. And I feel like I'm saying that my intent, the dieting. Yeah, I'm not trying to lay blame at all, but doing the yo-yo dieting talk about dysfunction. I mean, that can create the dysfunction that doesn't allow us to hear or our hormones to function properly. Yes?
Yeah. And I think that we teach our brains the type of eating, like diets, are learned behavior. Mm-hmm. And if we teach ourselves that, we're also teaching our brains to think and drive us to eat for reasons other than hunger. I mean, some people say to me, I'm hungry all the time. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference between being physically hungry all the time and being emotionally hungry all the time. Yeah. And many people can't feel the difference. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because emotional hunger, those emotions, those vibrations, many of them live right in the gut. Mm-hmm. And being able to differentiate that, I will say many times that I want you to feel your emotions, not fill them.
I love that.
Because the only reason I'm here is because I stopped filling my emotions with partying, with alcohol and food, as opposed to feeling of where I was at. Mm-hmm. I could eat my way to contentment and never go, my profession's fine. But being able to go, for me to be able to bring up to somebody, what is that? Mm-hmm. And many people will usually say, well, I don't even know what that emotion is. First, you have to know that it is an emotional hole and not a physical hunger. It starts there. So, we talk about the process. That's the beginning of the process of when you're eating physically and when you're eating emotionally. And there's so much talk about emotional eating, but I think I make it very, very simple when I'm working with people. Mm-hmm. And then what brings up those emotions, sometimes it's as simple as your brain saying, I need something sweet. Mm-hmm. That's just a thought. That is not a cookie calling you.
Yeah. You're right.
It is just a thought saying I need, like so many people say, well, I just need something sweet after I eat dinner. Mm-hmm. I go, well, what makes you think your body's telling you that? They think their body's telling them. Yeah. That's why they do it, because they think they're listening to their body. It is their brain telling them that because we trained our brain to say that to us. And then we hear it. And it becomes what I call in my world an urge. Uh-huh. An urgent desire to do something. Mm-hmm. So you don't need something sweet.
Right.
I mean, you can eat something sweet if you want. Mm-hmm. But don't think that I have to have something sweet. Right. That's something you want to work on in your own head about that thinking.
Yeah. It's sometimes hard to separate emotions and urges from thinking it's a physical need or feeling like it's a physical need, right?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
That's why I start with the simplicity of, do you know your own signals?
So you have the thinner piece, which I love, thinner piece process. It's so good.
The inner peace.
The inner piece, which is the thinner piece. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
I just thought.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. And so you start with rethinking, which is basically what we're talking about right now. It's the rethinking part of the process. And just real quick, by the way, you have an ebook that goes along with your podcast. Yes, that has all of this. So you can download. It'll be all in, the post show notes, and I think it's in the pre-show stuff right now. But you can go to that. But you also have Reset. And so, what is your process when it comes to resetting?
Well, if the first part is rethink, the second part, reset, actually means that we start playing around with food.
I mean, that's super fun.
It's fun when you get the thinking down.
Yes.
It is not like I would not start with food in the beginning of the process because that's what everybody does. Just tell me what to eat, tell me how to do. Because I don't care. I mean, people want to come in and they want something different when they come with me, but at the same time, they really want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm really trying to refocus the weight loss to the making peace. Because really, if you do make peace with food, you will lose weight.
Yes.
But if weight loss becomes the big thing, the chatter in your head about that is too strong. So we always start with the mind first. I don't even care what you're eating.
So sorry, go ahead.
So when we get to reset, we start talking about what you're eating. And start with the concept of no flour and no sugar. And for some of my clients, it's great. For some people, they don't want to do it. That's okay with me. But it's amazing when you're not so crazed about food and you're more calm about it, to play with it a little bit, to see actually how it's affecting you mentally, physically. And it's not real, I mean, I don't get into a lot of foods. I just say just no sugar and no flour. Just to see what happens in your mind and body. So we create a whole chart about this and see how it actually affects you. Because most people say, oh, I've done that. That's what everybody says. Oh, I've done that before. Yeah. You've never done it with coaching. And you've never done it with really taking apart how it affects you mentally, how it affects you physically, and how it affects you spiritually.
Yes.
What you put in your mouth, if you're not so crazed about losing weight, not so crazed about and so obsessed about all this stuff, just becoming curious about how it affects you. Not to do for the rest of your life at all. Just to educate you in a way that might help you decide how you want to move going forward, so you can get to the point where you can say, I can eat whatever I want, but what do I want? So that's the reset.
Yeah. And I think it's so key. There's always a process when working with someone and saying, look, this is what we're going to do. And I agree with you. I say, it's your choice. But if we're going to work together, these are the things that I'm going to request of you because I want you to understand your body. I even had somebody call me back a couple of days ago, whenever it was, and she's got significant autoimmune disease. And I told her straight up, I was like, there are very few things in my world that are black and white when it comes to autoimmune disease. But gluten and dairy are black and white when it comes to autoimmune disease. It's just kind of how it is. And so she called me. She scheduled the appointment, the whole thing. She called me. She said, I need to wait. I need to make sure I'm ready. I'm like, great. I mean, I want you to make sure you're ready, but I also want you to feel good. I mean, so, but one of my favorite things one of my favorite things is when people do no matter what the food is, whether we did food sensitivity testing or not, but whatever the food is, and they come back to me and they say, I cheated. For one, I'm like, you didn't cheat. I'm not, this is not like this is a law, right? You know, it's not cheating.
Right.
But they'll almost every time they'll say, I cheated, but I felt like crap afterwards. Like, good. That makes me really happy. And I don't want people to feel bad, but this means you have that light bulb. It's the aha moments that I love, right? And you have this light bulb that goes off and you're like, oh, I didn't think that gluten was affecting me, or dairy or sugar or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Eggs, right? But this was a very clear sign that I'm super impacted by whatever that food is. And I think it's so important. And I think it's important also to say that often we don't have to, avoid those foods. You just said this, forever or for life.
No.
Sometimes your body's just not going to like it. Some of this stuff is, genetic variants in our body, but these are the things that help to guide us in understanding what it is that helps me learn my body, helps you learn your body. And this is why your food journal, or your food tracking, your emotional tracking really is what it is. And putting numbers to it is so important to learning what your body's telling you.
I couldn't have said it better. That's it. That's it. And just knowing that you can eat whatever you want. And what do I want? You may decide that I can eat that if I want it. I just don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't like the way it's going to make me feel. And therefore, I don't. And when you literally do not want something, there are no urges involved. Like with little kids, like my little grandkids, when they were like up to like maybe 2 years old, you could not make them eat something that they didn't want.
Yeah.
I mean, the I don't want it is throw it in your face. I don't want it. They don't care if you cooked it. They don't care if you worked on it all day long. They don't care what you did. They don't want it. And I really believe it's in all of us, only we have to kind of relearn how we've actually been wired.
Agree with that, totally.
And if I was raised at a time where that was really enforced, I wouldn't have had the problems that I had. I have been connected to my body. I mean, in menopause, because metabolism slows down, our appetites are decreasing over time. That's why we can't handle what we did in our 20s. We can't eat the same because we'll gain weight because our bodies can't handle it. And the message is, eat less. Your appetite's down. So why is it that we're eating more when our appetite says don't eat? So, being able to listen to the hunger and the fullness, which is your appetite, and appreciate your appetite. Like, there's so many people go, oh, I wish I just wasn't hungry. It's like, no. As a chiropractor, one of my first questions is how is your appetite as a sign of health? Yeah. You don't have an appetite, there's something wrong with you.
Right. Agreed.
And yet I have women coming in their 50s wishing they didn't have it. Gratitude for an appetite.
Yes.
Gratitude
the simple things.
For feeling hungry.
Yeah.
Gratitude for feeling anything.
Yes. Agree with you so much. So the last and final phase of your methodology is reinvent. Let's talk about that. I love that.
So once you are much more aware of the thoughts that are creating things that you don't want, be it in your life or be it what you're putting in your mouth, because all of that comes around as we do this work. Many times there are many clients that I had that were eating at night. Nighttime eating is a big thing for a lot of people when you're not hungry. And of course, that's because everything slows down and your brain is actually more open and it's talking to you a little bit more emotionally. And it's a really good time.
Fascinating.
You know, like if it's boredom or if it's, I have some time to myself. Like, well, why don't you have time for yourself earlier? Like it's a perfect avenue to questioning what's going on in your life, what's working, what's not working, if you're eating at night when you're not hungry. So the reinvent is, once you understand what's creating eating when you're not hungry, once you understand the foods and how they affect you, then it's like, well, how do you want to do it? And what do you want to do? Many people create, like I did, want different careers. Many people realize that, like me, that I was just drinking because I didn't want to feel. And I'm not saying I was drinking a lot, a glass or two of wine, no big deal.
Right.
But it was getting in the way. Like, if people want to drink wine, drink it. But watch why you're using it. And because it's not something that's actually, at least I don't think it's really nutritional for your body. I think it's a joy eat or a joy drink. It's something that you might enjoy. It's not going to do anything for you.
No.
But you want it, then it becomes a joy drink, which means it's very mindful. You drink it sip by sip, and you stop the minute that you're done. And that means not a lot. It's amazing how much you can enjoy something when it comes to these foods when you're just really paying attention to it.
Yeah.
And so the reinvent is, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to eat? What don't I want to eat? How do I want to live my life? What do I want to really work on in terms of practicing about what I want to think? And so the reinvention is the transformation.
Love it.
And most of my clients will say, it's not about the food, but it's all about the food. Because I use food for the transformation. I don't use the food to help you lose weight, even though you'll lose weight.
Yeah.
I help you use food to find out how you can transform the life that you want.
So good. So good. And I'm sad that we're done already.
It was so much fun.
Goes so
I
fast.
knew you were going to be so much fun, because that's all you ever say is about, this is fun, I had fun. So I knew I was going to have a good time.
Somebody told me the other day that I just kept saying good. This is good. And I do. I say this is good all the time. It's like
I know.
It's fun or it's good. I mean it's important to have fun and have goodness, I guess.
I think so. Makes me excited.
Good. Well, this was amazing. I feel like I have a whole bunch of notes here that I didn't get to, but I think having you on again would be amazing if you would like to join. Yeah, I think that would be
I would
super
love
fun.
to, because I know how much fun it's going to
Yay,
be.
it's all good. Perfect. Well, make sure that people know, let's tell people where they can find you, your ebook, anything else maybe that you want to hit on that you weren't able to hit on.
Well, first of all, if you like what I'm saying, the best thing to do is to listen to my podcast, which is Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. And there's a book that goes with it, and it's drdebbutler.com/change, where you can get the book and start listening to the podcast. And if you're interested in actually wanting to work with me, then you can set up what we call a mini session, where you can spend 30 minutes and we can discuss if this process that I use would be a good fit for you.
Love it.
Whoever I'm talking to.
Good.
But it's always good to start with podcasts and listen to if it resonates with you.
Yeah. I think that that's really important. It's important to have an understanding of who you're working with, who you're bringing on your team. But, the things like the podcast and even doing blogs and things like that really give people an understanding of
That's right.
who you are, right? Not everybody's for everybody, and that's okay. But knowing who you are and how you work, and then, just bringing out your personality. You're so easy to talk to, and I love your brain. I love big brains, so it's really good. Yeah. So anyway, I think the way that you're doing your podcast, I thought that was super smart. So literally, it's your first 5 podcasts, right, that go along with your ebook, and you send people to the ebook and then to the podcast. I'm like, well, that's super smart. That's great. But it works so well. And when you do that, you're giving a lot. You're giving so much good information, and then you can take that and run with it, or take it and go work with you and really dig in deeper. And that's really what so many of us need, is that deeper work. There's so much that we don't understand about ourselves that others can help us to pull out. So
beautiful. I couldn't have said it better. And I think that's really the beauty of a good life coach.
Yep.
I mean, life coaches are a dime a dozen now. So
true.
But the way, when you're really trained properly, and you can really help somebody see their own belief systems that they don't even know are there, because they're running on them and they think that they're actually the truth.
Yep.
When they're actually made up fabrications in their head. They can change it.
Yeah.
And to me, what is more powerful than realizing that you can change the glasses that you're looking through?
That's amazing. Good stuff. Thank you. All right. What a great way to end. Perfect. Well, be sure you look at, or go to, I can't even talk. Man, go to the ebook. Holy smokes, sometimes my mouth doesn't work very well, but go to the ebook, go to her podcast. Such good information there. And then reach out. It's always, I think, giving these 30-minute, little mini sessions is always so good for the soul and helps to get to know each other on a more personal level. So thanks, Missy. Love you. And so anyway, but reach out. And everybody, of course, you can find me, tastelifenutrition.com. You can fill out an assessment online, and I can reach out to you. We can chat about it and see if there's something that I can do to help. Or because I have such a amazing network of people, like Dr. Deb, if there's somebody who's better suited for you, then that's what we do. We send you to somebody who's better suited for you. But my goal is to be a resource, is to have fun. It really is.
And it's true. That's what you do.
It's true.
I'm here to say it. It was fun. I'm proof.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will see you next week. Again, streaming live on kuhsdenver.com. Every week, 10 a.m. We'll see you next week. If you want to stick with me for just a second. I'm going to shut everything off. Thanks, everybody.